Hello and welcome to the Armenian News Network Grung. I'm Asbed Bedrossian. In this Conversations on Grung episode, Hovik Manucharyan and I will be talking about Armenia's prospects for peace after the 44-day war in Artsakh a year ago. This episode was recorded on Monday, October 18, 2021. The 44-day war in Artsakh ended with Armenia signing a document of capitulation in November of 2020. The three signatories, Armenia, Azerbaijan, and Russia, agreed to implement a number of points to maintain the ceasefire and work towards a longer-lasting peace deal in the region. In the past month, there's been a flurry of diplomatic activity around Armenia, with the foreign ministers from Georgia, Iran, India, all visiting and meeting with Armenia's top officials, and of course Armenia's officials have visited other countries like the US, Russia, and have met with their top diplomats as well as the EU, France, and Azerbaijan. To discuss the region's prospects for peace, we have with us Varuzhan Geghamyan, who is an assistant professor at Yerevan State University and teaches on Turkey's modern history and the history of Azerbaijan. Thank you for joining us today, Varuzhan. Very happy to hear from you.
Thank you for having me.
Hi, Varuzhan.
Hi.
Varuzhan, let's start with the latest visit by the Indian Foreign Minister. As we know, on Wednesday, October 12th, India's External Affairs Minister Subramaniam Jaishankar visited Armenia, where he met with Prime Minister Pashinyan, Arat Mirzoyan, the Foreign Minister, and Parliament President Alen Simonyan. This was the first ever such visit by an Indian foreign minister to Armenia, and beyond Jaishankar's visit to the Tsarnaga cultural gestures and expressions, the diplomats discussed significant geopolitical projects involving Armenia and the international North-South transport corridor, or what we refer to as INSTIC, a project essentially from India through Iran, Armenia, Georgia, and beyond. Varuzhan, let's begin with trying to analyze the timing of the visit and the fact that it is the first such visit in the history of independent Armenia. And to me, the timing seems very conspicuous, coming right after the recent Iran-Azerbaijan tensions and in the midst of talks of corridors through Armenia. Do you think this meeting or this visit was in response to regional geopolitical developments, or was it more proactive?
Yeah, thank you, Hovik, for this very important topic. And I think that this is in many ways one of the most critical issues in all over the region, definitely not only of interest for Armenia and Armenians, but also for all the active or even passive actors in this huge terrain. Why so? And here the timing helps us to understand, I think, what really happens on the ground. We see that there are definitely some shifts in the regional geopolitical standing. I mean, this one doesn't need to be a specialist on geopolitics or to be a specialist in local political transformations to understand that there is something definitely happen. Yes. And
right.
We need to look at the map to understand that these all these processes are part of more general processes. The processes which definitely again stretches far beyond the Armenian and Azerbaijani conflict or Nagorno-Karabakh issue or the independence of Artsakh, whatever we call it. So I would like to give a brief introduction of how I see this connection between these geopolitical processes and what we have right now. If we look at the map, we see that in the whole Eurasian region, which starts from Europe up to the far east, we see that there is three major doors to enter from east to west and vice versa. It is one is the, let's say, the Russian part, and the one is Iranian part. Yes. I mean, from the Arctic to the Arabian Sea to the Indian Ocean, we have nearly two countries which are in between East and West. It is one, the huge part is Russia, and another part is Iran. And there is only one small part, the third door, which is Armenia. And this is in many ways makes Armenia really not a touristic slogan, but a real geopolitical crossroads point in this huge region. Okay. In India, let's say. So, and for all those who are interested in bringing Asia to Europe and to bringing East to West and vice versa, and doing it without Russia and without Iran, and Russia is definitely a major force, Iran as well, on its level. This means that for them the third door is the most comfortable, because it is the smallest one, and at this point it is also the weakest one. Armenia is pretended to be an independent geopolitical factor in the region, and having the army and having in many ways very natural borders until the last year's war. It was making possible for us to be part of this huge conversation about opening the doors from east to west, and or not opening the doors, but we were part of this huge conversation in which major geopolitical forces of all the world were part, like Russia, US, Turkey, the collective West, if you want, China, Iran, and Arab countries. So now, after the war, we have a situation when one of the major players and one of the major stakeholders of this East-West route is the Turkey, the Turkish Republic. It tries right now to get this third door, or the keys to this third door, not only to open it, but also to be the owner and the protector and the one who is the
key holder,
who is the key holder, and who is the gendarme of this route. Okay. And not to leave it to Armenia or not to leave to any other country, but to be the one who coordinates this route. And when we say route, and when we are saying that this is a corridor, we mean that there is a huge communications, there should be huge communications, infrastructure, and many other things which will be part of this huge east-west route.
Varuzhan, when you mentioned that, in order to open communications from Asia to Europe while avoiding Iran, Armenia is one of those options. Iran and Russia. Do you mean essentially through the Caspian Sea, Azerbaijan, and Iran, and then outwards through Georgia to Europe, or how would you avoid Iran in this circumstance?
Well, I said that there are two countries which are between this east and west, yes, major countries. It is one of them is Iran, and the second one is Russian Federation. For all those who are trying to bring this east-west corridor into action, it is much more difficult to make this corridor happen in the territory of Russia or Iran. Moreover, they are doing this corridor because they don't want to have the corridor through, or the routes from east to west, through Russia or through Iran, because in that case Russia still continues to be one of the most influential geopolitical forces, for example, in Europe. If you haven't any other route from China to Europe except for Russia, then you are dependent on Russia. If you have no other route than from China through Iran to west, again you can't pressure Iran, because Iran has some influence on you. So the only option is Armenia, which is a weak country, a small one, and currently in a crisis. And it makes the first, as I told you, the first stakeholder of this East-West route is Turkey, which is a part of the collective West. no matter how difficult or sensitive right now its relations are with US or with European countries. It's still a part of European world. It's still a part of the Western world. It's still part of the Western military organization called NATO. So if you have the main routes through Turkey, then it means for the collective West, it's a good idea. I mean, as far as it makes pressure and it avoids Russia and Iran.
So, Varuzhan, do you see the Turkish and Russian competition in the South Caucasus from the perspective of controlling the east-west and northwest corridors?
Definitely. Definitely. We see that. We have always seen that. This is not a new thing. And this is not only, as I said, a problem of the 21st century or the competition in the South Caucasus after the collapse of the Soviet Union, but it is, let me call it the simplest geopolitical project which back in the end of 19th century and in the early beginning of 20th century was already there in Ottoman Empire and in Turkish Republic. If we look at the discussions of how Ottoman Empire should be saved and continue its development, or how the Turkish Republic should act in this region, we always see, no matter who is in power in Turkey or in Ottoman Empire, we see the same idea. For Turkey, it is crucial to be the greater influencer in the South Caucasus, because it is not only a place where there are some resources, and meaning Baku oil fields, but also it is the place where you can put your own coordination center to get an influence on the whole Eurasia. In many ways, South Caucasus is not only the southwestern part of Eurasian continent or Eurasian region, but also it is the let me call it with the term from Western geopolitical intellectual debates, it is the heartland of Eurasia. Because if you conquer South Caucasus, then you have the keys to the North Caucasus, which is a route to the inner Russia. If you have influence on South Caucasus, then you have an influence on the whole other classical Middle East, from Iran up to Syria, because the routes are under the control of this mountainous part of South Caucasus. And first of all, the current Republic of Armenia. If you have influence on South Caucasus, then you have the keys to the Central Asia through Caspian region and to the Turkish language speaking stance, post-Soviet countries like Kazakhstan, etc. And also you have a right way to the another part of Russia, which is the Volga terrain, where the Tatars and other Turkic-speaking people live. So this is definitely a brilliant thing for Turkey to do. And now it has the opportunity because, as we see, Russia is not that powerful to fully protect South Caucasus from Turkish influence. And this shouldn't be surprising for us, because we have seen that Russia, for example, is in Syria already for 6 years, but it still has problems there. Yes, it can't definitely throw away Turkey from Syria, not because it doesn't want, but it's really difficult to do in nowadays, because Russia, if we go into deep and start to understand why, we can say because first of all, because of the so many problems on its borders, starting with Ukraine and Belarus, which are much more important for Russia than the South Caucasus, at least right now in their geopolitical understanding of the world. So Russia is not capable of fully controlling South Caucasus. It tries to eliminate the critical threats to its interest, which gives Turkey an opportunity to get much more influence on South Caucasus. And actually, Armenia was the last fortress of this non-Turkish influence in the region. And now Turkey starts to also fill this gap as well. South east-west corridor is the let's say the practical implementation of this huge project for Turkey, which back in 19th century was called Pan-Turkism. Now in the beginning of 2000 it was called Neo-Osmanism or Neo-Ottomanism, and nowadays it is just called the regional policy of Turkey. I mean, much more simpler, but still, I mean, it is about just the same
and more politically correct.
Yeah, and more politically correct, but still, I mean, the essence and the main idea behind it is absolutely the same.
Yeah.
And just to bring some cultural stuff to this conversation, I should bring an example of one of the latest most popular TV shows in Turkey. As you know, TV shows are one of the instruments of Turkish soft power, not only in the region but also in all over the world. And one of the most popular ones, the Savaşçı, a very new TV show, which has millions of viewers in all over the world. I'm just right now I'm watching it, and in this TV show, I have seen so many already. I'm very sorry.
No problem.
Yeah, sorry. So so I right now I watched this TV show, and in this TV show I saw so many already direct messages about how the future Turkey should be in the upcoming years, and it is always about, nearly in each episode of this TV show we see how Turkish soldiers are conquering another territory in this pan-Turkic world, bringing new flags, bringing the independence to the Turkish-speaking people. And this is not done, separately or only in one TV show. This is done everywhere in Turkey, starting with the academia up to this cultural stuff. And knowing anybody who knows Turkey, he also knows that this is not just a trend, or this is not just a wave of the last ideas of some of the directors, of some of the scholars, but it is the directive from the state. So you should create this, because otherwise the state will definitely intervene in this.
So Varuzhan, I also want us to come back to the importance that India sees, and why now? Besides sort of the wishes of these global players, what are their real capabilities to make and influence any sort of regional corridors? Because we know on one hand we have Turkey and Azerbaijan coming at the heels of a war. We have point number 9, or I believe in about the corridor. But from India we haven't seen, or even Iran, we haven't seen much other than sort of these visits now. How do you think things will develop?
Yeah, as I said, this is gonna be a long introduction, and the whole picture is that these plans, or this major geopolitical project, which I tried to describe, is not only a threat for Armenia, but also to the other Eurasian actors, like India, like China, like Iran, and some other countries. Because if Turkey gets this corridor, and if gradually it realizes this idea, then it become a regional superpower, which then will try to dictate its own rules in the region, starting with the trade routes up to more serious military, for example, agreements and military cooperation in the region, like it right now has with Pakistan, which is one of the major rivals for India. And with Afghanistan, where currently Pakistan is very powerful, with this Taliban came to power last summer. For India, other alternatives to go to the West, short alternatives, now are limited only to one route. It is Iran, through Iran, to be more correct, Then if we look at the map, we have only couple of options. One through Iraq, Syria, and then to the Mediterranean Sea, which is not a good route because Turkey is controlling these two territories as well. As we know, in the north of Syria and Iraq are totally under the Turkish influence.
Right.
Then another option is Turkey, which is not a good option because Turkey is an ally with Pakistan and definitely gonna deepen its cooperation with Pakistan. So then only one option left. It is Armenia, Georgia, and then Black Sea and to Europe.
In light of that, what is Iran's role and stake in this relationship?
Iran is the main interlocutor of all these negotiations. Iran is the one who sees this as an opportunity for to become in the regional superpower in itself, because it is becoming a small Russia in the south of Eurasia. I mean, all the routes are going through Iran. Iran will be, it will in many ways rise its own importance in all the negotiations and in all the not only in the region but also on the global level. So this is a brilliant opportunity for Iran, and as we see, Iran is very proactive in this because it is not only about the problem of Turkish possible invasion in the northwest of Iran, where there are some Turkic-speaking Iranians live there, or this is not a problem of protecting Armenia. This is a problem of protecting a possibility to become a regional superpower. And the main route which can be realized and is very close to be realized, it is through Armenia, the so-called North-South corridor,
right,
which, as we know, which is being developed for already 2 decades. Nowadays, Armenian government says that they are starting to implement it from the 1st of November, if I'm not mistaken. And Tehran already officially said that for them the north-south has a critical importance.
Yes.
And we have seen that Georgia already openly said that they are for the north-south corridor, because for them Georgia also faces the same, absolutely the same challenges as Armenia faces from Turkey and from Azerbaijan. And we see that there are, of course, very cautious, but there are steps from Georgian side as well to bring this to, first of all, to break the plans of Turkey to create a zone of influence in South Caucasus. As we know, Georgia was the first country who said that we are against the 3+3 format, which was suggested by Turkey.
Correct.
Yeah, and it said openly. And it said, while having visited visits from Turkey, from Azerbaijan, but still it says that Georgia is not interested in this. And twice they already visited Armenia after the war. The prime minister visited Armenia and openly said that the negotiations are about creating this north-south corridor, because for Georgia, it is, as for Armenia right now, it is most probably the last opportunity to get an international helm or protection, because they have this very important corridor, which is not about them but about China and Iran and India and in Europe. So we right now see most probably the final competition between two major geopolitical projects in this huge region called Eurasia, and the future of this region for another 30 or 40 years will be decided in this fight, whether the East-West corridor will be through Syunik under the protection and coordination of Turkey, or the North-South corridor under the coordination of Iran, where the stakeholders are China, India, Russia, and European countries.
So this
is it. Yeah.
All this flurry of diplomacy and conversation and opportunities obviously give a lot of options to Armenia, and in a sense makes its position diplomatically, if not politically, stronger. What do you think is Russia's position on the stronger Armenian relations with Iran, India, and possibly on the international stage?
Yeah, this is also very, very important question, Asbed, because we see that there are huge discourses in Armenia and in
Yeah.
Armenian world about the role of Russia and about the negative, to be honest.
Yes,
about
yes,
the
that's right.
negative. Well, allegedly, it is correct to say allegedly negative role of Russia. I'm not the person who sees the situation like that. I'm the one who, as far as I understand Russia and as far as I understand or cooperate with the Russian decision makers, I can say that for the majority of the Russian decision makers, their interests in this huge geopolitical project coincides with the Armenian ones. Right now, they are for
You mean the
them,
Russian interests
North-South.
coincide with the Armenian interests? Okay.
Yeah. So North-South corridor is also important for Russia because the not giving the Turkey, not leaving South Caucasus to Turkey is absolutely critical for Russia, and they pretty much know this. And they say this because they know that if Turkey is in South Caucasus, then they will definitely the next moment they will have problems in North Caucasus,
Right?
As they
Varuzhan,
had in
Absolutely.
90s. Yeah. So why they are not so to the point in their announcements, in their actions, which gives an opportunity for anti-Russian forces in Armenia to say that Russia is against all this and Russia doesn't want to make Armenia stronger. It is that Russia is really having very strong crises both in the country and outside the country, and there is a huge lobby and there are forces which are definitely serving to Turkey, which actively work in Russian decision-making circles, and I have seen this with my eyes in all the communities, in all the circles, both in the capital Moscow and in the other critical points in Russia. There is a strong Turkish lobby. There is a strong influence on the Russian decision makers, and because of the crisis, Russia is not capable of solving these problems at the needed speed, which brings this uncertainty. But still, if we look at the core of the Russian announcements, we see definitely that they are not against, and they are not for the corridor. For example, the Turkish one, they are for the North-South corridor. And one last thing which we should definitely mention, that you know that the politics, and especially in the 21st century, is not only about announcements or waiting for the pure interest to coincide and then work, but to bring this to connect this interest to each other. And Armenia here should be more than proactive.
Yes.
But unfortunately, what we have seen, it is that we had that problem before the war for nearly 20 or 25 years, and right now we had it as a major problem. We have absolutely no diplomatic work with Russia, no lobbying of our interests, no mobilization of Armenian resources in Russia to bring these Armenian interests into the field, to bring some Armenian scenario how South Caucasus should look like in 5 years or in 10 years. And we see, unfortunately, that currently in all these geopolitical huge processes, Armenia is just one who just sits and waits about the decision, waiting for the decision, not one who parties.
I think that angle that you mentioned is very interesting about Turkish influence in Russian diplomatic circles. We'll have to talk to someone about that.
Varuzhan, previously you mentioned 3+3, and what you mentioned is that Georgia was the one that mentioned that they're against it. In the context of Russian interests and Iranian interests, why do you think Russian leaders and Iranian leaders have spoken positively about this project? And do you think that this 3+3 is orthogonal to any communication routes, meaning that can both of these happen independent of each other, or do you think that this is an attempt by Turkey essentially to cement its east-west control, to increase its influence in the region to the detriment of any North-South communication?
Well, we should start with the short description of what is the 3+3 platform idea. Turkey, from after the collapse of the Soviet Union, Turkey several times attempted to create a kind of an influence zone in the South Caucasus by suggesting different formats. One of the one format which appeared, if I'm not mistaken, in just after the Georgian War in 2008. It was the Caucasian, so-called Caucasian platform, and Erdogan was the one who was suggesting this Caucasian platform. The basic idea behind this Caucasian platform, behind this name, was just to create a kind of a European Union or a USSR of the South Caucasus, where Turkey should be the Russia in the USSR contest, or if we take the example of EU, which should be kind of a Germany of EU, of Caucasian EU. Okay. So dictating the rules of dictating the general line of development, and by this gradually having its weight, gradually controlling all the territory. I'm not literally, but with the economic and political influence. And initially, this was about 4 countries: Turkey, Georgia, Armenia, and Azerbaijan. The Caucasian platform was rejected by all the countries, of course not Azerbaijan, and Iran and Russia then were critically against this idea, though not publicly, but still, I mean, it was rejected. Nobody took it seriously, and I remember that it gradually, erased from all the news, and nobody remembered that really until this 2020 capitulation and the announcements of Turkey after that. So the third attempt, the biggest one, was after this capitulation, and Turkey suggested another format for this, but basically again the idea was the same. Okay, collect the 3 South Caucasian countries and add to them Russia and Iran, because Turks from the previous attempts realized that it's absolutely not impossible to even just discuss the idea where there are no Russia and Iran. Okay, so they suggested this one, that okay, we are aware that you are here. Okay, basically, we know that you also have an influence here, and you are not going to leave this region. So, okay, let's create this platform where you will say that Turkey is also part of this region, where you will, in fact, you recognize the rights of Turkey to have an influence in this region, and then we'll start to discuss this. As we know, there are some other this type of formats between Russia, Turkey, and Iran on Syria, Russia, Turkey, France on Libya, and other formats. This is one of the main instruments of Turkey right now in the last 2 decades to be officially recognized as a part of the conflicts and part of the negotiations and part of the game. Okay, and now Georgia said that they are against it because, as I said, they really, first of all, they had this opportunity because they have let's say a glimpse of protection by the West, and they have some maneuver to talk about, and they said that they are absolutely against it. What we have seen from the Iranian and Russian side, we should try to interpret with the understanding of local geopolitics and local geopolitical or local diplomatic language. Iran never says that it is against anything. Actually, you can find any this kind of example. It never says that it is against cooperation, it is against peace, it is against something else. Even the last military how we call them, military
alliance.
No, the Zora Varuzhan.
The military exercises.
Sorry, yeah. So even the last military exercises, when, for everyone, it was absolutely obvious that this was against Turkey and Azerbaijan and their allies in the region. I mean, they accompanied it with absolutely peaceful and bright, shine announcements about the peace and coexistence in the region. But for everybody, it was clear that this is a military sign or military declaration announcement,
Right.
and was a message to Turkey and to Azerbaijan. So coming to Russia again, Russia sometimes leaves the place for its allies to speak up instead of him. Like, okay, we are okay with this project, but what we can do if Armenia and for example, Georgia are against this, or Iran, they are against it.
Right.
Okay, this is a good idea. This could be a good idea. Nobody says that cooperation is a bad thing. But, we should still wait.
Yeah, it's interesting that I actually don't know if Armenia is for or against the 3+3. As far as I know, it's Georgia that has said no, and things have gotten to a stop. So other people haven't even said anything about it.
Armenia said nothing about the platform. It only
it didn't need to say anything because Georgia stopped the conversation essentially.
Yeah, but Georgia is alone, and I think that here Georgia shouldn't be alone in this question, because
right.
If you are not against this kind of things, if you are not fully showing your position, then it is difficult for your allies and potential allies like India to be more to the point during the negotiations or in their actions.
Yes.
And I think that the visit of Indian foreign minister, we should also look from this perspective, that they are coming to the place, and this is unprecedented thing that the Indian foreign minister comes to Armenia without any preparation. I mean, without any initial talk. They visit Armenia to understand what is the real position of Armenia. I mean, behind the doors.
Yeah.
And to know whether they can rely on Armenia in their projects. I mean, they openly say that they are searching for a route from east to west. They definitely said that Pakistan and its allies are against India. So Turkey and Azerbaijan are against India. So they should find a way. And having the absolutely critical relations between India and Iran in the last couple of years, when they managed to develop a very huge system of communications between each other. If you look at the railway map of the region, you'll understand how connected are right nowadays, and how it also for the West it is somehow disturbing. You will understand that India is already put a lot of effort in this, and it is very important for them to get a guarantee from Armenia and Georgia that they will not fail the project.
That's right. And both countries have poured a ton of money into that port of Chabahar, for which there was a lot of conversation when the Indian minister came. And that's going to be a huge port that bypasses Pakistan as well.
And as I said, this is very important for also our potential allies, as this is not the whole conversation is not about Armenia or Azerbaijan or even South Caucasus. This is much more, and this is very serious. And we got here an unprecedented place to maneuver and to play, and maybe this could be a provocative announcement by me, but maybe we hadn't any period in our last history or in recent history where for Armenia, diplomacy is of critical importance. I mean, in 90s, the most important thing was army. In the beginning of the century, with the First Republic, again, army was absolutely critical. Nowadays, the situation is like that there are definitely countries.
Varuzhan, simple question. Does our current government have the resources to negotiate for Armenia's best interests, given such a complex geopolitical environment? And I'm talking about the human talent, the human resources and everything to address all of these problems coming from all sides.
The short answer is Armenia has, the Armenian government not.
So, Varuzhan, you said that the Armenian government doesn't have those resources, but Armenia has as a nation. And does the Armenian government even want to entertain relations with Iran and India, at least publicly? Pashinyan's welcome to Jaishankar and our foreign minister's welcome, was it commensurate with the level of attention and the level of PR, for instance, that was fatigued upon us by India? And is that any indication of whether Armenian authorities themselves are interested in this north-south corridor? Sorry for the provocative question.
Well, this is difficult to answer in a sense that it's difficult to say that we are losing our opportunities. The current Armenian government, I mean, for any the thinking person, already showed that it's absolutely incapable of doing any serious visionary thing. Unfortunately, this is absolutely a sad thing to underline, but still we need to say that if there are opportunities after this huge capitulation, after the huge losses we have, we had that opportunities, but we are losing them day by day, gradually. And even though there can be some steps which shows that they understand or they realize some steps in this direction, unfortunately, having the cadres which are right now in this decision making level, having the level of those who are part or who are developing these ideas or the state programs, be more than sure that they are gonna fail. I mean, if they even want it. But as we know, they don't want it because officially the government has, in all its papers, in all its doctrines, in all its programs, it declared that they see only one version of the development of Armenia. It is just, I'm sorry for this word, but to shut up and to listen what the big powers will tell us. I mean, this is what, in simple words, means just losing your independence. And we are just right now in this situation. I hope that I'm wrong, but unfortunately I'm right. And this means that probably we are right now we are witnessing how we lose the last probably opportunity for Armenia to put its new position in the geopolitical map of this region. Which is the critical base for having a state in this region. Otherwise, we are not capable of having a state in this part of the world.
Yeah, Varuzhan, it's interesting that over the last few days, former Foreign Minister Vartan Oskanyan also said something similar, in that not everything is lost, but he was imploring the current government to talk to everyone around the Armenian political spectrum to get everybody's perspective as they navigate through the current diplomatic complexities.
Yeah, this is actually, Asbed, this is we should mention one important thing. This is very complex. I mean, what I tried to describe in like 20 minutes, it is a topic for like years of conversations, and this is really very serious and really very difficult thing to do, even with the brightest minds having in your cabinet, having in your team. This I can say that we should be sure that we'll manage. No, I mean, this is very difficult, and this is very sensitive, very tiny things, detailed, etc. But the one thing is for sure that if you don't mobilize all your best resources in Armenia, in the Armenian world, in diaspora, and putting your best efforts, it should become our number one priority. Mm-hmm. If you don't do that, you have no chance to have a success. Yeah. Absolutely no chance. If you try, then maybe there could be a success. I mean, we should be very honest with this.
I agree. I agree. Well, Varuzhan, we're leaving half of our scheduled agenda on the table simply because we do not have time. And like you said, this is such a huge topic, but we're going to have you back to complete our thoughts and conversations here. I always look forward to our conversations.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Varuzhan.
That concludes this Conversations on Grung episode. We hope it was helpful in your understanding of some of the issues involved. We look forward to your feedback, including your suggestions for conversation topics in the future. Contact us on our website at grung.org or on our Facebook page, ANN-Grung, or in our Facebook group, Grung-Armenian News Network. Special thanks to Laura Osborne for providing the music for our podcast. On behalf of everyone in this episode, we wish you a good week. Don't forget to subscribe to our channels, like our pages, and follow us on social media. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you soon.